Yeah. Yeah. Right. Without further ado, we will get started. So thank you all for showing up here to this month's Mastermind for August. And each of these sessions is, designed to be a standalone mastermind experience, but we do have an arc that's going for like 12 months to kind of go through different components of regenerative community development. So we have a handful of new people who joined in this month. All of those received the recording for last month. So if you want to go back and listen to the introductions of a lot of the people that were here last month, there's a lot of great information there, and you can learn a lot about the projects that people are working on. And I'll just give a really brief introduction to this, because there's a more extensive one on the first session recording if you want to, but just a little bit of the context of why and what this mastermind is. Part of it to me is just there's a lot of challenges, complex challenges on the planet currently, and I feel that regenerative community development is a really great way to address many of these challenges in a very holistic way, and also introducing more of the 7 generations philosophy of design, where we're living and creating community in a way that just doesn't honor our current timeline, but our future generations. And a quick little background to myself. My background's in architecture. Went to school in architecture, came to San Diego and started working in an architecture firm. I started up a nonprofit organization in 2012 focused on regenerative community development. We did a 2-year prototype eco-village project outside of San Diego here in Valley Center from 2018 to 2020. We used sociocracy as our governance model and our organizational model. I am also a co-founding partner of an organization called Lightspace that's currently in development for a platform for regenerative community development, connecting people that have land with consultants and experts needed to develop that project in a regenerative way. And so as I mentioned earlier, the framework is, this is building over kind of a 12-month arc of different topics. Each month is kind of a standalone process, and we typically meet on the 3rd Thursday of every month. If there's a conflict of scheduling, sometimes that might shift, but typically it'll be the 3rd Thursday. And each month we have a design challenge that we're all asked to complete, and try to keep it minimal of maybe 1 hour outside of the mastermind time, kind of between our next session, that you would hopefully get together with somebody in the group as kind of a design team to approach that challenge. And then share that we have a couple documents to share our monthly design challenges to help inspire one another and provide a little context to what we went through. The mission and vision for this mastermind, I'll put it in the chat, just so it's readable too, but I'll just read it because I think it's nice to just set the context. Provide inspiration, information, experiences, and resources for the design and development of regenerative communities, projects, and policy at local, bioregional, and global scale. So that's the mission statement. And the vision is a world where the human species lives in balance and harmony while contributing to the optimal health and well-being of the planet as a whole. And we have a handful of case studies that we're going to be referencing as we go through the mastermind. Everything from small scale, like a 1-acre urban permaculture demonstration site here in East County, San Diego, from the Living Joy Homestead, to the larger scale of Juniper Springs in Colorado of, I believe it's 44 acres. And then all the way up to, we have some friends with the Wise Tribe that are designing and developing a city called the Wise City, and so up to kind of urban design scale. So we'll be referencing different components of community projects as case studies as we go through this. And one of them is a project in Baja, California called Lumeria. which is a 15-acre property right on the coast. It's got a private beach. And there is currently 2 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom houses on the property. There is another 3rd community house with like a big community kitchen downstairs and a big open space. And upstairs, there's like a studio living space. There's a desalination unit powered by solar. So it's all off.
Recording in progress.
All store or something's echoing there. Mute somebody. So yeah, desalination, all powered by solar. And there's currently a yoga retreat being designed and developed on 3 of the 15 acres. So Jack is the current steward and owner and has a natural builder architect down in La Paz that he's working with to build like a 2-story yoga shala. And so part of the vision for those 3 acres or for the whole property is the 3 acres is the yoga retreat and wellness center. And then the other 12 acres includes those 3 structures, the 2 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom houses, the desalination plant, all of that. And he's very open to what that wants to be. He wants it to be some form of legacy project, community, like eco-village, intentional community project. And so we're actually going to organize in October a 3-day gathering down to Lumeria in Baja. And we're going to I've been organizing a monthly gathering called Gathering of the Tribes, bringing together people that share values with, living in harmony with the earth, creating healthy community. And so in October, from the 20th to the 22nd, we're going to do a 3-day Gathering of the Tribes on the land. And then we're going to have a following week-long community incubator on the land for people that want to stay longer, explore the area, and get a taste of intentional living with people. So we'll have kind of a little mini eco-village, project for 10 days. And there is the potential for people to stay longer. We were thinking of doing a whole month-long community incubator process, and Jack didn't know if he wanted to open up the whole property to we have a capacity for 25 to 30 people to participate in this. And he didn't know if he wanted to open up the whole property for the whole month, but he was like, we can do that for a week. And then if there's a select group of people that are interested in engaging deeper in the land and the vision down here, they might be able to stay for up to a month. So that is one of our case studies, and we're going to be going down and doing a site visit and project. So I'll drop that in the chat here if anybody is interested in coming down to Baja to check out the property. It'd be fun to connect with some of you in person. And so we'll get into a couple introductions right now. Last time we went through pretty in-depth introductions with a lot of us that are here. And so again, you can go back and listen to the recordings if you want to hear people's backgrounds and what they're up to. So let's just do a 90-second introduction from the new people that are in the group that we didn't hear from last month. And I'll set up a little timer here just for 90 seconds. And when I kind of hold up the phone or just say, you're at time, you don't need to cut it off right at that moment. We'll just try to keep it somewhat succinct to about 90 seconds each, and just share your name, location, and brief introduction to what has you feeling inspired to participate in the mastermind. And then briefly share any projects you are working on and skills or experience you have that you feel are supportive to this mastermind. So let's see, Greg, I know you kind of already did yours, but some people weren't on yet. It wasn't your official introduction. So let's have you go ahead and do your introduction, and then we'll go to a couple others.
Yeah, sure. Name's Gregory Kellett. I'm up in Northern California, Fairfax. I've been working closely with Melissa Ryan on the Juniper Springs Festival project. And my past experience, I created a more of like a country club with an edge. No one really lived there full time, but we go up there on the weekend. There's 16 different families up in Mendocino, beautiful pond up on the ridge, and pretty amazing property. And I'm a master neurolinguistics practitioner, which I actually use a lot with the people I work with, because I find that those are the people I want to be healthy and grounded. So, and that healing is a lot of this work. I feel like it is the work, actually. It's us coming together and understanding that we have baggage, and we're here to heal that with each other and trigger each other into that healing. So I also do, I'm a certified dynamic governance / sociocracy trainer. So I do those trainings, and I wear a lot of different hats. I have some projects down in Costa Rica as well, along similar lines. And one of the things that are core to the Colorado and the Costa Rica one is these agroecology centers, with the primary understanding that that soil is a big issue right now. We have a soil extinction that's en route, and that we need to start shifting things rapidly. So it's one of the unifying things between the various projects I'm involved with. And it's an honor to be on here, and I'm excited to meet and get to know the various projects and people involved. And I'm in.
Awesome, Gregory. Welcome. Thanks for that introduction. I love what you said about, I think you said something like triggered into healing. Is that what the statement you used?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. All right. And as I mentioned, if you weren't on the first session, if you want to watch that recording, there's a lot of amazing projects and really experienced people in this group. And so if you go back and listen to a couple of the presentation, or the earlier presentation, you'll hear more about everybody's projects.
I look forward to it.
Let's see. Anthony, would you like to do an introduction?
Oh, hello. I was on microphone anyway.
Yeah.
Was I active? I was on the whole time. Keeping quiet, listening. Excited. Wow, wonderful community there. I'm so glad and honored. Likewise. Thank you. I'm coming in, on introduction from Marin, a beautiful Marin light worker, and representing Tulum a little bit, and perhaps the whole world, really, of course. Right now, coming on behalf of Light Space that we're working on with Marin, and also Boho. And Boho is a community of nomads also, and we're really into the whole Regen train. And we look forward to moving humanity to its next steps. Yeah, excited to be here to learn from you guys, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Awesome, Anthony. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right. How about you, Bonnie?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
I can, I think. Maybe speak a little bit louder, but I can hear you, yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I'm the only one having the delay with the internet, but I'm in San Diego. I'm here because I'm looking to network with people. We've recently had some state law changes that allow for higher density on what used to be just a single family lot, even if it's even if it has 5 acres. So I know several people. We want to basically grow our own food and support holistic health. I had a meetup group in the past, then I sort of gave up because San Diego's so strict with their zoning, but again, it has been changing lately. We're in the stage now where we're talking money. I know it's kind of hard for people to get to that stage where they want to talk about these great ideas, but they don't talk about what resources they have. So that's where we're at. I'm for skills. I'd probably be good at the legal side of things. I professionally, I work with the San Diego State, the Industrial Assessment Center. So we do energy efficiency assessments. So I reach out to businesses. I do on the side some nonprofit consulting, and I have a nonprofit. If anybody has an idea in this area where they need a partner for that, because we can pretty much do whatever people want to do. We just don't have a lot of manpower on our side, so we can offer the structure, the entity, but not the volunteers.
Beautiful. And if I remember, Bonnie, you were doing stuff with tiny houses as well, yeah?
Tiny houses, co-housing, or even co-living.
Okay.
It just really depends. You know, people seem to want what is considered a bungalow court. So everyone has their own little, you know, maybe 600 square feet cottage, but have it all on the same lot. So the independence is valued. I'm finding it kind of a mix of community and privacy. So whatever that looks like in this area could be an ADU with a JADU, and they even say you can now subdivide and put 2 duplexes on a lot. So whatever's available.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here, Bonnie.
Thank you.
So let's do a little review. So last month's session, we primarily focused on vision. What is the vision for your community or your project? And I think this is a super important one to dial in, because I think it's the starting point. If you want to build a team or people to come around and co-create something, the vision has to be clear to communicate that to others, to magnetize and gravitize others to that. And so it's an interesting process to go through, these big, huge concepts and try to dial it down into, a 1-sentence mission and vision statement. And it can be a challenging and fun process to distill those thoughts down. And then we also have the design challenge to create a vision board of some sort with, some imagery, however you wanted to approach that. So I'd just like to open up the space here for about 10 minutes for us to explore like what people's process was like going through trying to create your mission and vision statement. And if you created a vision board of any type, what was your process like for that? And would love to hear a little bit from Justin. I loved the images that you shared. Thanks so much for sharing those in the Telegram group. Mm-hmm. And I will just actually, yeah, let's I'll just open it up to you, Justin, first, and then we'll let other people like share and chime in after that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I love like affordable stuff that we can start doing today. So like tiny houses, container homes. But yeah, my vision is basically, as much as possible, defer to the group. Yeah, everybody has their own private nook area that you pay as like some price is like a co-ownership LLC, and you control that little area. And the rest of the property is developed as a community. And I've been doing like in-person meetups too, and that vision seems to be pretty resonate with most people as well. And just remembering to separate your life vision from other people's and just give them the space to do what they want, and they should do the same for you. I'm interested to hear other people's like slogans and other ways to boil it down. I like the term retribalize. It gets some pushback from some people, but coming from an anthropological background, we all used to have tribes. If you go far enough back, it's just some of us have no idea where, when, or any of that stuff. Yeah, it's fun to make a really like personal vision board, and then like, yeah, putting myself in a spot in a eco-village community, and realizing that those can compare and contrast and overlap or might not overlap in certain spots. Nope, you're muted.
How did you create those images that you shared?
It's an AI art tool called Midjourney.
Okay.
It's fun to play around with. I'm sure I'm just, yeah, tip of the iceberg, but it's really fun you just enter in phrases, and then a couple of seconds later it spits out pretty good art. And I think art's really important just to get the vision out there and simple and clean and attract people. I think some of the best compliments I had, like people say they dream about that sort of people around campfires in the woods at night, and like that deep resonance is if you can get art like that, it's gold.
That's incredible. It's so beautiful and just, I mean, it's unbelievable what can be created with that stuff now.
Yeah.
Yeah, using all the tools we have to make the change. So AI is debated, but I mean it makes good art. So the tool I have right now.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, like it's here. And so to use it for the positive aspects of creating positive change in the world, like I know there's a lot of, you know, there's concerns about AI, but it's here, it's not going anywhere. So I feel like it's a good idea for us to utilize it to create, you know, the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. And these, you know, these visions for community. And yeah, those images that you created really, like, I mean, it's like you can feel them, like, and I went through my process. I hadn't done it a whole lot, but just on Pinterest, I went through and created a Pinterest like vision board, and it was really fun to like explore like different concepts of like, okay, what's it look like in natural building, and finding different materials and styles for structures, and going through a section like that, and then just being like, okay, what's it like to gather around the fire with music, and just finding, you know, hundreds of images of that, and like, and just, you know, choosing the ones that really resonate. What's it like for a group of people to make food together and eat? And so just really, I dropped, I think, a link to the little vision board that I created in the chat. And so it's nice to like be able to share. So I really appreciated Justin sharing that, and the Telegram thread. And like the idea is that we really like share what we're coming up with in our design challenges to inspire one another. So I really invite all of us to continue to do that as we go through this mastermind from month to month. And Cody, I said, sorry, I missed who are those images posted in the Telegram group? Yeah, so Justin created some really great images that he put in the Telegram group. I'm trying to read through the chat here as well. Melissa, would you like to chime in and share anything with your mission and vision statement? I see you put it here in the chat.
Sure. This is something that Gregory, I, and the rest of our team came up with as far as our development association called Common Grounding. We said Common Grounding is creating regenerative villages that foster community, innovation, and ecological awareness by stewarding land and building affordable intergenerational eco-communities. Common Grounding seeks to address affordable housing needs while providing opportunities for entrepreneurship, creative expression, and education. So our vision statement is stewarding land to create regenerative, creative, communal living spaces for community to thrive. Creative is a really important part of what we're doing. And then the mission statement, we help creative land stewards build affordable intergenerational eco-communities in which to play, work, play, and live. So I'll also post our website, because the majority of what I did over this last month was finish polishing up our website, and that acts as our vision, or as our vision board, because I have done that for years with every project that I start to develop, is just build a website for it. It's easier for me to just walk through it that way. And so I'll post that, and you guys can take a look at it and then give us any feedback.
Awesome. The website's looking beautiful, Melissa.
Thanks. I'm still having issues with some people's operating systems on their phones. So if you look at it on a phone and it's not configured properly, please drop us a link or a screenshot to what it's doing. That would be awesome.
Awesome. And I'm loving, so like, I'm resonating so much with this, the vision and mission statement. And Tian and Danny aren't on this month or on this session right now, but they shared a really beautiful document for Diamante Luz down in Costa Rica. And I'll post their vision in the chat right now also, and just read it, because they'll also put their mission components there.
Yeah, and they're also on our team. So a lot of what we have worked on is in collaboration with similar aspects of what they're doing.
Yeah. So vision, we envision an interdependent network of autonomous communities cultivating and nurturing a planetary paradise where everyone's needs are met and the prosperity of Earth is endowed to future generations. And their mission was, we are inspiring planetary transformation by embodying regenerative lifestyles. We are regenerating experiential learning tools, skills, and capacities for the flourishing of personal, spiritual, and environmental relationships. Experiential learning tools, okay. We are co-creating collective agreements for self-governance, economic exchange, resource sharing, and common land stewardship. We are facilitating the just redistribution of resources and power toward restoration of ecological wellness and social equity. So what I'm loving is like reading through Juniper Springs, reading through Diamante Luz, let's see, Reka and I got together and talked about her vision statement this last week, and it's so beautiful having us go through this process on our own and seeing like how much overlap there is. I'll read the mission and vision that I ended up writing. Was co-create a network of regenerative communities that demonstrate conscious, healthy, holistic, and sustainable lifestyles, sustainable ways of living that honor the sacredness of all life, being the mission. And so just seeing how much overlap, like, there's nuanced different words, but a lot of the essence is very similar, which makes, I just feel really good to feel like we're in, connection with very similar resonance of human beings seeing similar visions of the world and community. So does anybody else want to share about your process and experience with last month's design challenge of the mission and vision statement, or your vision board process? And so if so, we'll have a couple minutes here for you to share, and then we'll get on to like our next kind of topic for today's discussion. And what I'm curious about is actually like even more than just sharing the mission or vision statement, but like the process of like, what we kind of are going through to distill that. So if anybody has anything to share, we can hear from you. Marin, you want to share?
Sure, I'm happy to share. Thank you. So this month for the design challenge, because we're building an app and a platform to connect all of the regenerative real estate properties around the world with a global, with a holistic suite of solutions to build the properties and to create the community around the properties. So for the design challenge this month, it was really interesting, just like putting the team together, and what I felt to share as well, that would be helpful, I feel, for the community here and beyond, is that, I got very specific about the mission and the vision, and then also the culture and the resonance of the people who come in to co-create this. Because with every property, I've been working with regenerative real estate properties for the past 4 years around the world, helping people to build their properties as a consultant. And so with every single property that I've ever worked with, a really big part of it is to create the resonance for the particular property. And I really appreciate that this is what the exercise is doing with the mission and the vision, because this is literally spelling it out so that the community of people come in order to support the mission and the vision. And so for my design challenge this month, especially with our very specific mission and vision with Lightspace, it's been really beautiful to see the people that have come in the past month to help actualize this mission and vision, and to bring this dream into reality in really practical, tangible terms. And we had a really big month at our company, and we confirmed our executive team and our team that is leading this. And so now we are ready to receive the investment from all of the investors that we've been speaking with, and to build. And also the lesson that I learned in particular this month that I felt called to share is that it's really important to establish that resonant, coherent container, so that way the resources can come in. And so in my experience over the past month, it wasn't landing until the team was set, and until the container was set. So I really appreciate this exercise because it really creates that coherence as well as the intention, and for the correct people to come in who are aligned with the mission and vision, and sensing who also is there to support instead of to take away from it. So I really encourage everyone to really feel into that for your own projects and properties, because in a lot of senses, these are your homes, and these are really precious properties and places and spaces. So to really treat them with the sacredness that they deserve, as well as be very highly curated about who you're allowing around your project. And if you're not feeling that they're aligned and completely there for your particular mission and vision, to be selective, because we can all be selective about who we align with for our particular mission, visions, and the properties. So really to treat this as a sacred exercise that it is, and the sacred projects that they are. So I'm happy to share that. Thank you. And I hope that that's helpful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
well, it's super helpful. We've definitely been in this co-creation experience together. So I obviously resonate very much with what you're saying. And the importance of, that clarity of the team. And so thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course, my pleasure. A big part of the resonance and coherence, Joshua. Thank you so much in organizing it so beautifully as you do. It's amazing. So great.
Thank you. All right, so for the rest of this session, we're gonna dive into two topics at least, like deeper dive, and maybe a third topic depending on our time. We're gonna explore. First breakout group is gonna go into our core values, and I'm gonna put let's see, in the chat here, just a couple prompts that we can reflect on for this breakout group and these questions for distilling what our core values are. So one of them is, what are the guiding principles that will shape the culture and decision-making within your community or project? How will you prioritize sustainability, spirituality, social equity, resilience, or other values that are important to you? So like those don't need to be components of your values, but just like, how will you prioritize things like that? How do your core values differentiate or align your community with others? So we're going to get and share your thoughts and ideas about essential values for a regenerative community. So those are, 4 little prompts and guides to get our minds thinking around what are your core values for your project, for your community vision. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go to a breakout room with about 3 people each, and we'll have about 2 minutes each. So, maybe like 6 to 8 minutes in the breakout room. Try to monitor yourselves if somebody has a timer, so you each have like 2 minutes to share, so everybody has a chance to have their voice expressed. And then we'll come back. We'll have about 3 different breakout rooms, and we'll come back into the main room here, and we'll take about 8 minutes to do like what we call like group wisdom share or harvest, and like what, in our breakout rooms and our smaller discussions, what were some nuggets of gold that seemed really inspiring and that could be useful for all of us to talk about or hear about as the whole mastermind. So unless there's any questions about this, I will open the breakout rooms, and you'll have probably like 6 to 8 minutes or so. So just make sure you all have about 2 minutes or so to share. And, if you're new to a couple of people in the breakout room, and you can do a quick little introduction, just like your name, where you live, just so you kind of have a context of who one another are. And yeah, let me know if there's any questions, and otherwise I'll open the breakout rooms here, and we come back here in about 8 minutes or so. Okay. All right, I'm going to open the breakout rooms, and some of you will be staying right here in the main room with me, so the video recording has something to share, and we'll see you in about 6 to 8 minutes. Okay, bye-bye. Make sure people were able to get into their breakout rooms. Okay. Sammy, are you there? Bonnie? So Sammy, you should see a breakout room for room 2.
Sorry, I just missed the moment where I could shift to the breakout. What do I do?
You should see a prompt somewhere that says breakout rooms, and you
Oh
should
yeah. Can you do it again?
go to. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, I think I did.
Okay, looks like he got it. Okay, cool. Well, then we got Marin, Greg, Melissa, Anthony, and I. So let's chat about core values. Who wants to start?
I mean, I'll go just because I was reading about that literally just like before getting on the call here.
Okay.
Actually, one of the women who's involved with the Diamante project, Danny Bell.
Yeah.
Melissa actually re-forwarded me something that she had sent out, and she was talking about the difference between values and principles. And I really appreciated what she was talking about along those lines, is like values being more of like our belief systems, the things that we hold dear to us, like what is it that we really want to like foster and cultivate, and then principles are more like the guidelines that help guide either individual behavior or group behavior. And I just thought that was a really useful distinction in my head that I hadn't made before. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I was just taking some notes and saying, so like really distinguishing between values and principles.
And then for us, a lot of our values, and this is something I've been really thinking about the last week even, is that having the earth be the primary, just honoring it as the source of all life, the earth and the sun as the source of everything, and to actually dedicate ourselves to stewarding that foundation of life, as opposed to just raping and taking from it all the time.
Mm-hmm. That like I love that of like earth being central, and I think that brings up a really interesting question of, so when I came up with the name, our nonprofit is called Local Earth. That's the name of the nonprofit that I started. And when I was going like, what are the core values, what are the things that we focus on, and like I was like, what's the common ground beneath all our feet, that's, and simultaneously seeing that a lot of the successful long-term eco-villages, intentional communities sometimes are a spiritual or religious like community. And I was like, well, I can't like say that like it's just about Jesus, or it's just about Buddha, or it's just about Allah, like I'm very inclusive in my perception of source energy and spirit. And also like how like we could see that like that spirit and matter, like there's the earth grounded component of Gaia Sophia, and then also like the potential like spiritual or religious components that are more like not, you don't touch them per se, like put your hands in the earth, and how that could be a binding element or a core value that keeps a group very harmonious and cohesive without dogma of like, hey, we're going to have some practices in the morning that whether we meditate or we go walk on the earth barefoot or we do some yoga or like, and you could call those like spiritual practices, or you could call them like grounding practices of connection with the earth. But I think that those core values, it's an interesting one that I think a lot of successful communities, because a lot of communities do fall apart, you know, like they'll start and like they dissolve after a couple of years from conflict, and a lot of them that have been successful do have like a religious or spiritual component. And so I'm curious how we can like integrate a non-dogmatic like core value of like shared connection with spirit and earth or something like that, as you know, as part of our core values.
I'd love to chime in on that.
Totally.
So the thing that he was referencing that was talking about the difference between principles and values. I'm going to ask Danny Bell if we can share this in the Telegram, but in there, the fifth value listed is faith, holding strong beliefs in a higher power or spiritual principles. That's non-dogmatic. That doesn't have any specific orientation to one type of God or type of practice, but it is a common value that we all have faith in something larger than ourselves. And I think the word faith really sums that up. It's not about a spiritual practice or a religion. It's about having faith in something larger than ourselves.
Yeah, I love that. And
I
yeah,
love that. And
yeah, go ahead, Maren.
oh no, go ahead. Complete. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to list a few more that are around that, but if you have something related to faith, then you should comment on that.
Yeah, I was really inspired. Just love, you know, like faith and love, I feel like are the two centralizing forces, you know, and trust, three.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I really I want to be in communities around people that I love and trust, and that I have faith in what we're doing, you know. And I'm so with you on the faith. As you know, I often share that, you know, I'm very honored and grateful and blessed to be sharing this divine mission and vision through me. You know, I'm a very happy and willing channel for this. And also this is so beyond me, you know, and so a lot of what I do on a daily basis, I love that you mentioned faith, because so much is grounded in faith, you know, that this works, that this is all a flow that is happening, that is the universe self-organizing all of the people and places and spaces and components of the worlds that we know in our hearts as possible, you know. And so I'm really honored and grateful to be an agent of this divine mission and vision, being born into the world. And I work a lot with Gaia and the spirit of Gaia, you know. So Gaia is my, for all intents and purposes, higher power in this whole mission and vision, because it's really about how, you know, how Mother Earth and honoring Mother Earth. How can we best honor Mother Earth and all sentient beings on this planet and beyond? You know, so since we're here, let's honor our home. So I really deeply appreciate you when you bringing that up, you know, because I feel like it's the faith in the higher power beyond, and also in what's right in front of us, you know, like hugging the trees and being grateful for the butterflies and the soil and the plants and animals and all sentient beings. It's really beautiful, you know. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gaia, Sophia, indeed. Thank you, Melissa. That was really inspiring. Love you.
yeah, and I know Melissa maybe found like you had a couple other shares potentially around like the concept of values and principles, and I'd love to potentially hear that. And then also Anthony, could give you a little space if you want to share here. Anthony, it'd be nice to love to hear your voice.
Yeah, I'll add just a couple things, and then yeah, I was gonna say Anthony hasn't spoken up yet. The idea of friendship in regards to trust, companionship, and mutual respect, it feels like that is a really important aspect of all of this, because we talk about like working together, living around each other, and truly having friendship is so important in all of this. Like our team, we try to get together and have times that we're not just working. And when that happens, I learn so much more about the individual as a soul, as a human, and not just as a teammate. And creativity is a really important one for me. If we're not engineering times for us to be innovative and creative and playful. So the idea of innovation and creativity can often be really structured, and just the idea of engineering flow states and engineering play are really important. And then there's a list in here of 20 other things that include kindness, generosity, respect for nature, peace, success, knowledge. You know, they're all important for community, but those are the ones that are really important for me.
Beautiful. Thank you for, yeah, like the friendship. Like it just like, it seems like it's so important. Like you can overthink that, just be like, we're friends, we care about each other, we love each other, and like, you know, not just like colleagues or business partners. Like we're friends, we're soul family. That's such a beautiful reminder. Thank you. And to have fun and be creative and play. Like you know, Marin probably feeling this too, of like sometimes coming in of like kind of like the COO role with Lightspace and feeling like there needed to be some masculine like organization, and like being like, we gotta pull some of this shit together. And also like being like, I'm a very playful person and want to be in the play, but I feel more free to do that when I feel like there's also like some clear containers for, you know, to guide the river. So let's Anthony, I'd love to hear from you.
Oh, thank you so very much for the time and the attention. And yeah, I really just enjoy being able to make community in so many different ways. And for sure, I mean, all of the above in terms of values and all these words and concepts are important. For sure, for me, fun, obviously playful. We take it to Lightspace. I love the idea of giggles as being the main currency. Giggles and good vibes. So that's beautiful. And yeah, thank you. Excited to be here. A lot of great work. I'm sure we can physically meet. No, I think that's one of the things too. I think we're all connected digitally, internationally, and we're like, that gives us an opportunity to, you know, to really sync with the people, right, that think alike. I think a lot of you quoted Eisenstein recently. I visited his brother actually in Pennsylvania. I spent a few weeks there. He's really into the organic, you know, producing. He's got a little organic farm there, his brother. And I love Eisenstein, but that, for example, is one community that has a lot of values. And community. And the same, I guess all of you have different virtues and leadership skills and times to take the stand and guide. And yeah, it's beautiful. Invitation to Tulum also whenever. I guess a lot of you have come through here. As I said, I'd be excited also to meet with you physically wherever you're at. A lot of what we're doing is the nomadic lifestyle too, being a proponent of that too. So, you know, it's a big, beautiful world. To be experienced, and how can we do that sustainably too, really, in the way that more people get to travel and doing it in a community sense and these kind of things, right? So yeah, in terms of values, it's hard to put into concepts, and I don't know what the fundamental ones are really. I think you guys did a better job on that topic, no?
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that, Anthony. And like I love what you're, yeah, like inviting the potential for us to gather in person. Of, you know, some of us are already in similar geographic areas and have met. Like I was in Colorado and with Melissa at Juniper Springs last month, and it's, you know, such a different connection than Zoom meetings. And we can all explore and cultivate a lot of, connection and coherence through these Zooms. And some of us might support and inspire one another and never meet, but I have a feeling that a lot of us are going to start like actually like really weaving projects and communities together and being like, all right, like let's all meet next month, and gather on one of the properties. And so I feel that starting to come forward. And Anthony, like just distilling it, like listening to hearing you share like some of the things that were important to you, and like distilling that into some of the core values of like just even hearing like you saying like, oh, like the nomadic component of people wanting to travel and see the world. So like that could be part of one of your core values that you're working around, that's helping people as they travel be able to connect into regenerative communities. Like that's just like listening to people and distilling it down to a couple like kind of cohesive things that we can start to refine as core values. So I'm going to close the breakout room, and everybody's and we've got 60 seconds. So if anybody wants to share here, we got 60 seconds left in our group, and then we'll be back up like the whole here in about 60 seconds.
I just quickly, if I could just add, because Anthony and I, when we met in Tulum, we spent my first full moon in Tulum. We spent together, and also we visited Abuelo Antonio, who's the chief of the Mayans. The first time I visited Abuelo Antonio, and I'm very close with them, we were there together. So I agree with the in person, and also looking at Anthony, it's really beautiful the and that the core values that we share are the wisdom and listening to the elders and how they take care of the earth, and the deep listening that comes with that. So in all of the ways that we're all close with the elders that we're close with. So that's a really core value on our team, and one of the golden threads that weaves between us all.
Beautiful.
Offering field. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for sharing, man.
Pleasure.
So yeah, I think we're all back here now in the main room. So let's just like maybe take like 8-ish minutes or so and really like distill what your conversations were with one another, and some of the real highlights that felt like gold for us to harvest and share with the group as a whole. Let's open that up for a share. You can raise your hands or unmute yourself, and as you share, maybe just be mindful, like trying to keep your first share to like a minute or two, just so other people have space to share if they want. So the space is open. What were some of the inspiring comments around cultivating core values for everybody?
I was really inspired by friendship. Just offering that. Thank you, Melissa. That was really inspiring. That was awesome. I love that. Friendship and wisdom.
Yeah, Melissa, if you want to share in your own words, you can, or I can kind of reiterate just how important you shared that, like, cultivate friendship with one another. Yeah. A couple other things. I took some notes while our group was talking. Gregory mentioned that, I think you said it was a document that Danny created, and I would love to see if she'd be willing for us to like see if that could be shared with the mastermind, if she's open to that. Would love to see that document. But
yeah, I already wrote her actually, and I tried to share a couple things and realized I was on mute about the friendship thing. But yeah, I have this amazing document, and I'll see if she's okay with sharing it. I'm sure she is, and we can put it on the Telegram later today. But around friendship, it was just really, to me, we began talking about faith and how important it is to have higher power. And yet we can't all expect everyone to have the same higher power, the same description of it. But trust and happiness and joy and love within friendship allows for tolerance. It allows for compassion, and it allows for play and the ability for us to not just be in a structure of getting things done or being good civil neighbors to each other, but to actually be in a co-creative environment that engineers experiences that usually produce innovative and creative expression.
yes. Yes, and I just like you just knowing how you embody the play and the friendship, Melissa. It's like I can feel it as you share, and like getting to like hang out at Juniper Springs with Melissa. It's just like once you're in her field of energy, it's just like that's embodied. So thank you, Melissa.
Right back at you, Joshua. You are play for sure.
Anyone else have some nuggets that you'd like to share from your conversation?
Integrating into local communities. Make sure you have good incentive, the right incentive for investment, and keep track of some data so you can know if you're actually having the kind of impacts you want to have. Egalitarianism, basic morality. I like to try to keep it as simple as possible and let the culture develop as it does. But yeah, some bedrock stuff where you can't get along without basic morality stuff.
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about that. What we consider that higher power or shared morality, and like having a faith and a belief in something bigger than ourselves, and not needing to call that Christianity or Buddhism or a specific dogma or religion, but like just a shared value that there's something bigger than each of us as individuals that's bringing unity and love and cohesiveness to us. And so I think that's an important core value to distill, like with a group that doesn't want to be dogmatic, but really wants to honor both like the physical, tangible spirit of like Mother Earth, Gaia. We put our hands in the earth, and then also like the spirit that is not so much things that we touch and see, and how to word that core value so it's when it's written in our bylaws or our community agreements that it's just really clear to everybody and everybody resonates, and it brings joy to their heart.
Yeah, it wasn't in the breakout room, but I really liked what Marin was saying earlier about discernment. I feel like that's a thing that's very much, it's often overlooked. I think, I mean, personally, I had to learn the hard way. I mean, it's a little bit like, hey, you got the money, you got the vision. I mean, you're good, you're excited, you're enthusiastic. It's like you're in, but it's like actually no. I think it's really important to have discernment and to get have an application process and a thorough vetting, and to make sure that there's an alignment of skills of intention, because the little slight deviations in these things early on might not even be noticeable, but as you go down, it's like anything, like a deviation of half a degree when you're sailing 300 miles down the road is hundreds of miles. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I think it's really important up front to be like clear on the values and discerning, just because if somebody's like, oh, like I have a core value that I can't be in a community that eats meat. I'm vegan, and I have really like just clarity that I don't want to be around that. And then you have somebody that like, oh, like I hunt and I like honor the spirit of the animal, and I eat meat in this way. But if those two, sometimes there's things that just won't coexist in in the same space. And so I think it's good to get really clear on those core values. And actually that's kind of a segue to our next one, which is deal breakers. And let's take another minute or two if anybody has anything you want to share around the core values discussion that you had. And if so, it'll open space here for another minute or two. And if not, we can go on to like the next topic of deal breakers.
So I'll share something.
Go for it.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Cool. So I'll start with the last thing that Grid said about discernment. Discernment is one of the most powerful gifts to mankind, because you can succeed or you can fail if you're not able to read energy, because some people will fake it, then there won't be success. My understanding is, and answering the question on the core values as well, is that there is a way to raise the frequency, your frequency, asking questions, who created everything, to which purpose, who created the universe, who created the earth, Mother Gaia, anything you want to think of. And then when you raise that frequency, you start getting the answers from where they should be coming from. But we're trying to figure out how to work regenerative systems. You have to look at nature. Who created nature? For me, it's God. Ask God directly. How do we get to operate, heal, and create without having to try to work it out? It's all available. So that's why I would share about this. I think it's an important thing to share about.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sammy, so much. And yeah, that tied into a lot of our conversation around like having faith in something bigger than ourselves, and other, like, everybody has a unique perspective on that, you know, whether they call it God, whether they call it source energy, whether they call it great spirit, you know. And so like how to honor those very distinct, you know, perceptions of that, be inclusive and discerning. So that those are, you know, it's important territory to get clear in ourselves, and then, you know, those who we're coming into co-creation with. Let's go into the next topic, which is going to be deal breakers. And I'll post a couple questions in the chat that, again, they're just kind of an expanded form of that question of what behaviors, practices, or beliefs are non-negotiable within your community or project. What values or actions would be incompatible with the vision and goals of your community? Discuss how you address and respond to any potential deal breakers that arise in your community or project. So we will go back into our breakout rooms again for about 8 minutes to explore these questions of deal breakers. And kind of like one of those that I mentioned was like an example of like, if somebody's like, I absolutely don't want to be in a community that has meat, and some people are like, and I eat meat, like those two are not going to be super harmonious in the same community project. So I'll open the rooms again and we can dive into that, and then we'll come up back and do our kind of group share in about like 6 to 8 minutes, and just try to provide space for everybody to share in your breakout room. So I'll see you back here shortly. Looks like everybody's off to their breakout room. Okay, cool. All right, what are some of our deal breakers here in this group?
I guess I'll go. Deal breakers is a really strange term for me because I really like to be like bamboo and not break in the wind. But I do feel like there are certain aspects of violent communication styles or heavy drinking that don't work for my energy field. I don't think that we necessarily have to say that everyone has to be completely healed and perfect, or that all alcohol isn't allowed. And yet there is an extreme to that. There's a party energy that just doesn't work for me or the raising of my kids. I'd say a similar thing with white drugs, non-natural substances. They just have a different spirit to them that feels too toxic for me to be around and process. But that's basically it for me. I think most anything else we can weave around. But as a mother, there's sensitivities towards children, and I think it's a deal breaker if people are out of resonance with families and children.
Yeah, thank you for sharing those. And I love how you're like, I want to be like bamboo and not break. And you know, I love that. And like, I'm totally open to like, if there's a different terminology that we want to explore that feels more resonant with this, But you know, we had similar. We met for about 6 months before we started our 2-year Eco Village project kind of prototype, and we met once a month for like six months, or once a week for 6 months, like talking about our core values, and come up with like a 10-page document. And we talked a lot about addiction and use of substances, and all of us felt like we did not want to be around addictive practices or energies. And we also didn't say like we wanted to be a monastery that said like absolutely like no alcohol or substance ever. And then we felt like if you don't get clear on that, and it's like vague or kind of a gray area, then somebody could be like, well, part of my healthy lifestyle is to drink 4 beers a night. Like, I feel like that could be their reality. And we kind of were like, well, that when we said like what feels healthy to us, and what we ended up saying was in our agreements is like, you could drink up to like 2 times a week on the property, like up to like 2 beverages. Like, so if you want to have a beer or 2 with a dinner a night or 2 a week, or a glass of wine, like that was cool. But if you felt like you needed to have 3 or 4 or 5 beers every night with dinner, like that wasn't the energy that we wanted to be around. So we actually got pretty clear with that around like cannabis. Same thing. We didn't want people that were smoking all the time. So we got pretty clear on that as some of the deal breaker non-negotiables was like abuse of substances.
Yeah, I think this taps into one of the core things that I find is actually playing out on the planet right now, but in any community, is this tension between the collective and the collective cooperation, collaboration, being in resonance, kind of hive mind where you're working together and syncing up, with tension between freedom and giving people the right to choose what they want to do, when they want to do it, and not be impinging on someone's personal choice. And there's an innate tension there that is I think always there. Like, I don't think you can ever really quite resolve it. So like when you were talking about the addiction thing, like my thought was like, well, okay, if you want to be addicted to something in your own private home, in your own little area where it's like your space, and you're working out whatever demons that you need to work out through that addiction, then that's fine. But don't bring it to the common areas, or to a meeting. Like, don't come high to a meeting or something like that. But yeah, I think that's a definite deal killer, like addiction in general. I mean, there's so many things you can be addicted to, right? So, and then when I think about other deal killers, it's like something we were talking about before, is this earth thing. Like, do you really respect and like, honor the earth for what it is? And it seems like such a cliche, and I think pretty much everyone on this call just takes that for granted. But I was just flying back from a trip, and I was just looking out over the cities, and you can kind of get this perspective, looking down there and being like, wow, the planet is so huge and so much is going on. And I just had this total epiphany. I guess it's not a real epiphany, but I was just like, wow, it's not everybody has that value, that the planet is first, that the planet is the core, the foundation of it all. In fact, I would say most people do not. We're a very narcissistic species. Like, we believe like we're just in our own little world, and we're trying to get, and myself, I'm noticing too, like even when I do my mantras about I am whatever I want, I'm like, oh shit, I need to expand this out to the we, and go to this me to the we thing. And again, without losing the me though. So I'm just noticing for myself, the journey has been like, how do you get to the we without losing the me? Yeah.
Dance with the me and the we. It's a good one. Yeah, I love how you distilled out just like that tension that can be between everybody wanting to have complete sovereign free will, and then you also have core values that some people resonate with, and like there's always going to be some dynamic tension in that component, and maybe that's part of our practice, just to accept and dance with that.
Absolutely. I think that's a really core thing, just to understand that there's going to be tension. We actually call this tensegrity. Like Buckminster Fuller, there's a concept in architecture where you create tension on like a dome or for whatever, and that tension actually strengthens the entire structure. And so to go into any kind of community, I think that's what a lot of people go into community. They don't realize that there's going to be tension. There's going to be conflict. That's just the nature of having a next level of intimacy with people. And I think that to actually get people prepared for that and just make that normalize that's just, I think it takes out the pain and the suffering from it a little bit. It's just like, okay, this is just part of the evolutionary process.
Triggered into healing.
Exactly.
Reiki, you got any like deal breakers that are present for you in community projects? Oh, maybe he froze. Ooh, I was seeing him moving. But... Or Marin. Well, Greg, you and I can keep going. I'm sure there's no shortage. If anybody wants to chime in, you can unmute yourself.
So it's interesting. I love what you're bringing up, this deal killer thing, because in neurolinguistics, it's a lot about what do you want? What do you want? Like just getting people clear on what they want, because most people don't really think much about that. So I've been in that world for a long time, but I just got introduced this concept of getting clear about what you don't want. And just as not only as a group, but as an individual, and then reverse engineering what you want from there. And I've been in that practice, and it's just super powerful. I've been really enjoying it.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I see Reiki dropped out and came back in. If you want to share anything, Reiki, you're welcome to. Otherwise, Gregory, I can keep chatting. Through this discussion, I'm realizing that the concept I absolutely love of like, a core value of like that we all believe in, whether you want to call it a higher power, I guess the terminology of that is like something bigger than ourselves, like maybe as simple as that, like something bigger than ourselves. And dedication, devotion to service to the collective, to something bigger than ourselves. And what could be a deal breaker for me is if somebody had a very dogmatic approach to that, and like Marin has some context, I've gone through a pretty interesting kind of interpersonal, like deep interpersonal experience in this last 3 weeks, where a very close person in my life had this big shift around perspective of God and spirit. And I think a deal breaker for me would be like if somebody was like, oh, well, we just need to we need to honor Jesus as like, the primary deity or savior of our community, or that we need to honor Buddha, like that would be a deal breaker. Is like if somebody had like a specific way that needs to be done. And like for me, the exploration would be like how to word that in a way that's like very expansive and inclusive and non-dogmatic.
Like intolerance comes to mind when you say that. Like there's an intolerance.
Intolerance to other perspectives or beliefs. That's a great word. I don't know, that's not a word that I think of or use very much, but yeah, like a deal breaker would be intolerance.
And at the same time, like if there's a deal breaker, that's an intolerance, right? Like I'm not going to tolerate. So I mean, words are so tricky.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think about a lot in regards to being an actual steward on a land on this particular piece, is that I want everyone to have a safe and beautiful place to be. And yet the first 6 months or so of having this space, the people that came, I allowed them to be here without using my discernment. And most of them had issues with alcohol and violence. And that's just the complete opposite of the resonance of raising my kids and being in a field of health and vitality. And so it really is a deal breaker. And I had to think from what the children need and what the land needs. And so it wasn't even about me being intolerant to them. I still have tolerance for them over there off this land, because I had to set clear boundaries of you can't be violent with anyone on the land or with the land itself. And this land won't allow me to make improper decisions anymore, or not use my discernment. So that's just a little like variance on that, is that we can still be tolerant with boundaries.
There will be no executions, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I have a lot of love and compassion, and I'm learning stronger boundaries of I can love you over there off of this land. You just can't be here with that energy.
Only exiles, right?
Yeah, I like how you worded that. Like you can have tolerance for them not on the property. Like they can do that, but not within this certain membrane of like these 44 acres. Like I still love you and honor you, but not on this land. Well, welcome back, everyone. Yeah, I would love to hear from anyone. What were some of the key takeaways and insights you had from really important things around deal breakers on a project or in community? What does anybody have to share?
I wanted to say something about the last questions about discernment. Talking and beliefs are one thing, but I think having a way people can show up and actually have meaningful work to do together, I think that's working together, I think is what builds friendships and you see who people really are.
Here.
I'm really interested in how do you design a nice, safe pipeline you can get people in, you see who they are, and help them incorporate into the community. And then also exit strategies as needed.
Yeah, that trial period that I think a lot of communities have is really important. And like I've seen it different from a month to 3 months to 6 months to 12 months, like, you know, before somebody's considered a full resident of a community project, and where you really start to see the embodiment of, whatever those core values that we say, like, can we actually embody them together? Who else?
I'd like to share something. We are just this week going through a bit of a roller coaster with actually the notion of discernment. And a member of the group was, we realized tagging along and just saying, yes, this is what I want to do, and so on and so on. And then when we came to actually make a bid on the property, we realized that the person was interested only in themselves. They wouldn't want to really create a trust where everybody is equal entering into a partnership. So the actions can reveal the true intentions of the person. As people are moving forward to just put bids on them and everything else, I think it is recommended to see, even in the legal way, how people want to position themselves. Do they want to put most of the money? Do they want to have only their name on the title? These can show the motivation of wanting to own and control, as opposed to creating a partnership where everybody is equal, because money is not more than a vision. It never will be. Money is not more than love. Money is not more than giving. Money is not more than trees or anything else for that matter. And the last thing I want to add to this is, in terms of discernment, I believe that because the world is shifting from a space of logical and heart into a space of love and giving forward to receiving. There's similar stories in the Bible, obviously, and I'm not a Bible person, but I like the idea of you give bread, and the more you give, and there's more bread appearing. That, I believe in that, paying it forward. That's how we change the world. But so because the world is being reorganized by faith rather than financial power, now we can hold it to the people who want to gain from money. If they are money-centered or ego-centered, they will be attracted to money as opposed to attracted to, let's do this because it's the right thing. We'll work out even the financials later. Let's do this because it's right. So I think that we have a way to discern more easily now by how we put our priorities into what we're we're building and constructing. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Sammy. Yeah, and I think that that's a, you know, a good like test of like when we say there's core values and like do we actually embody those, and when it comes time to one form of energy is, you know, money, and like we're gonna make a proposal on a property, then it's like, all right, are we willing to, you know, put this into a land trust that is, you know, stewarded and counseled by sociocracy, or, you know, does somebody have that faith or trust or, you know, willingness to do that or not, of saying like, no, I need like my plot put in my name and my title. Like those are, you know, it's kind of like, I guess, yeah, deal breakers. If somebody's like, it's important for us to have the land held in, you know, collective stewardship through a trust versus private ownership, you know, that could be kind of a distinguishment of the deal breaker. Anybody else?
Yeah, Josh, I have a comment to make about what we're just talking about the conflict that comes about from ownership. One of the things that John D. Liu and the ecosystem restoration camp movement realized that money was a tool they could operate much more effectively instead of concerning themselves with ownership of property, to arrange for leases that had terms of sharing the equity of the improvement of the land, for instance. So the idea of ownership wouldn't, you know, generate conflict between the group. But if you could lease the land, then you wouldn't have to deal with the banks as much. You could have much more effectiveness in terms of the reach of what your mission was, your regenerative mission. It's one of the things that's going on around the world. That's one reason they have 57 camps, you know, globally now. They're doing projects. They be able to expand their grasp, their reach.
Yeah.
I love that.
Interesting concept, and I think like this is a super deep rabbit hole of, you know, what legal entities, what governments uphold like these legal contracts of how land is held and stewarded. And the lease concept, I like the idea of like not feeling attached to ownership, and also like here in San Diego, there's like Solidarity Farms, which is like an indigenous run farm. And my concerns with like some concepts of lease is like they had, I can't remember if it was a 5 or a 10-year lease on this property. And it's amazing farm, like here for the San Diego area. And they're getting kicked off their land, I think, in this next year because their lease is done. And I mean, they've cultivated all of the soil for so long. And like the concern with like a lease, if somebody else is like, decides like, oh, like thanks for your work for 10 years, but now you're off, like that is concerning to me. So like how we can, you know, make it more secure that no external entity is gonna like kick a group off after they just put 5, 10, 15 years of, you know, love into land. So
certainly,
yeah,
the interpretation is everything, and it's important to have a rolling lease and language that includes you in the choice of what's happening.
Yeah, totally. I hear you.
Something, or there's ways of doing it. Yeah, I think this is such a rich topic because, as Sammy was talking about, this idea of like think about the word entitlement. I'm entitled. Where does that come from? That's come from holding title in a piece of property, or I mean, and I feel like that's one of the main things that what we're working on, like creating earth trusts, and you know, it's actually taking out that entitlement piece where you can do whatever you want to who's on the land or what's on the land, and don't have to answer to anybody or anything. Yeah, it's a really rich grant. How to do that? That's like you say, that's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to talk with Gregory or I or any of our other teammates at any point about lawful structures, I'd be happy to have more conversations about this, or even do one of our months around this topic.
Yeah, I think I need to look at our framework, but I think we'll actually get to one of our months where that's just like a total focus of our whole discussion. And yeah, Melissa, Gregory, Tia, and Danny like have put a lot of great work into that and have a lot of experience and wisdom to share. So thank you for the work.
Don't say we have too much experience yet, but we are definitely learning, and we have some great we bring them with us.
Yeah. I have to bounce, you guys. Really nice to meet you all. I'm looking forward to next time.
Awesome, Gregory. Thank you so much. So typically, yeah, try to keep this hour and a half. So it would be signing off now. Let me just kind of, we might go about 5 minutes over or something here. Just kind of review the concept of the design challenge. And so the design challenge for this month is to choose 3 to 10 core values for your community project and vision. Write them down, choose 3 to 10 deal breakers for your community project and vision. And there's a collaborative document, and I'll put that, in our, let me see, link sharing. Collaborative document, collaborative spreadsheet. And so there's a spot for all of us to like write that down so we can all kind of like see what one another are coming up with. And then if you write that in that Google Doc, then you can just copy and paste that into our Telegram thread. So that way we can just like see what one another are working on. And it's nice to, like, if we want to do this with a partner or a small design team each month. It doesn't need to be a lot of time, but just like, trying to connect with one other person or a couple other people for 30 minutes to an hour sometime in this next, month before we have our next mastermind, which is on the 21st of next month on the third Thursday. So yeah, really invite everybody to spend an hour outside of this and like really think about this and complete the design challenge, because it's a good process to go through. Let's see.
Can I ask you about the gathering of the tribes in San Diego area?
Yeah.
Well, what date? What's the date of that coming up?
So here in San Diego, we're meeting on the third Saturday of each month. So this Saturday, we're meeting at the Joyful Living Homestead in Lemon Grove, which is a really beautiful permaculture demonstration site on like 1 acre. So yeah, we do that here in San Diego on the third Saturday of the month. And then the one that we're doing down in Baja is October 20th through the 22nd, a 3-day gathering followed by a week. So it'll be like a potential 10-day gathering down in Baja.
How far in the Baja? How far is it from Santo?
It's between Los Cabos and La Paz on the Cape side. So it's pretty far down. It's
Todos Santos?
It's on across the peninsula from Todos Santos. It's on the east side. And there's the website. I'll drop it in the chat again. It has like all of the details about that. I'll put it in the chat right there.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a really cheap flight from Tijuana, like Volaris. Like, I mean, you can get like flights for like $20-$30 one way, like super cheap if you look at the right timing. And it's about 1,000 miles if you drive. I'm going to be driving down. But it's a really easy flight. So yeah, and I guess in terms of the design challenge, if anybody, on our questionnaire document that is in the master index, like everybody's phone number and email is linked there. So if like you're intrigued with somebody's project or person, like feel free to like call them or email them. Just be like, hey, would you like to work on the design challenge together this month? Or we can, sync up with people in the Telegram thread, but it's, nice to have kind of an accountability partner if you want to connect with somebody. So I think, unless there's any other questions.
What time for this Saturday, Josh?
This Saturday, it is at, I think we're starting at 4 o'clock. I need to check 3 or 4, but I think it's 4.
Okay.
And we're starting with,
I'm gonna try to join.
Cool. I think we're starting with the potluck and for like the first hour, and then we're gonna have a tour of the property, which is Stefan is awesome. So like definitely would try to be there by the tour, because he's got a lot of great permaculture insight to share.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody should receive like an email from this, just kind of like with links again to like the recording of this and our design challenge document. Like there's a document that has the design challenge listed out. It's also lists the documents that we can, you know, share the results of our design challenge with. And yeah, just encourage all of us to stay engaged in between and share inspiration and connect with each other on the Telegram thread. And you know, some of us even connect in person here in San Diego. A lot of us will gather in person for Gathering of the Tribes this weekend. So thank you all for being here. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you so much for
Josh.
putting this together.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Wishing everybody a beautiful day.